All right, so we just practiced drawing our eyes, nose, and mouth. And so what we're going to do now is we're going to start practicing how to draw the entire face. And so what I want to emphasize before we start here is with this part in particular, it's so important to make sure that you are drawing lightly with your pencil, because this is the part where you're going to do some erasing. You're going to see me do some erasing. And so again, I'm going to be drawing my friend Beyonce here and walking you guys through how do I go about drawing the entire face and putting my facial features in there. So, all right, let's get started. So the first thing that's important to do when you're drawing your face is I like to actually start by drawing a circle. And so I'm going in and I'm drawing a circle here. And this part of the circle is not the forehead. This is actually going to be the top of the hair. And so I'm going to go in and just make sure that I remember that and kind of go in and mark like, okay, this is where my forehead's going to start, because I don't want my forehead going all the way up here. And next thing you know, I got a big forehead. And so the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look at my photo. I'm going to see like, okay, so I drew my circle. And that includes all of that here. So that means I got to draw this lower jaw. And again, you're drawing this lightly because this part, the jaw, is where you might be doing some of the most erasing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go from the sides of my circle, and I'm going to bring my jaw down. So I started with this part here on the side. I'm going to move this up a little bit so you can see. And I'm going to go and start marking out that chin. And so Beyonce's got kind of a round chin. And then I'm going to go to this side too, and then bring this up. And so you can see we're getting kind of a basic head shape. Sweet. So you know how we had marked out the forehead out here? The next thing that we want to do is we want to kind of mark out where our eyebrows are going to go, where our eyes are going to go, our nose and our mouth, just so that we can fit our facial features within the head shape we have here. So remember, this line I drew up here is the forehead. And then I'm going to go in and mark where her eyebrows are going to go. I'm going to very lightly draw a line going straight across here, just to kind of briefly map out where those are going to go. And then I'm going to draw another line that kind of goes through the middle of the eyeball. You can notice I moved it down just a hair. And then the next thing I'm going to do is kind of just draw out where the bottom of the nose is. And mine's going to go just slightly below that circle. That's where mine matches up. And so I've got lines for the eyebrows, the eyes, the nose, and then I'm going to go in with the mouth here. And so I'm kind of just looking at my paper and judging the distance. And so I can see from the nose to the mouth, that's about the distance I'm working with. And so I'm going to go in and mark out, okay, this is kind of where my mouth is going to go. And so I've got all those lines drawn, but I can't just leave those lines there. And so quickly, I'm just going to draw a line through the center, since we're going to be drawing things on both sides here. And so remember, you're drawing lightly. We're going to erase a whole lot of these lines. And once we get our facial features kind of checked in, then we can maybe get a little bit more confident and draw our lines a little bit darker. And so I'm going to start with drawing those eyebrows. I'm going to move a little bit quicker because I'd already gone over how to do some of this stuff. And so I'm going here, and I'm bringing it out. And then I'm going to bring this down, kind of like that. And same over here, but I can see this eyebrow looks a little bit different. So I'm making sure that this eyebrow over here, it does look the way that it does in the photo. And so I'm always just looking like back and forth and back and forth. And so I'm bringing that like this. Cool. I've got some eyebrows. I want to make sure that I'm happy with those. And so I want this part to move up just slightly so that it doesn't look crooked like it did for a second there. Okay, those eyebrows look a little bit more even. So I've got my eyebrows in place here. So now I'm going to go and move into my eye. And so I'm looking at the spacing between the eye and the eyebrow, and I can see that I want to, this line's going to actually just move up a little bit. Remember how we're drawing lightly? That's important. And so I'm going to go in, start with that tear duct. I'm going to see that my eye ends about right here. And so I like to just put a little dot there to help me know that my eye ends about there. And so I'm going in now. I'm creating that eye shape. I started with my tear duct, and I'm going down, getting that shape of the eye. Okay, I'm going to actually move over here before I do all those features because I might have to change some stuff. And so now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to mark out, okay, my eye is going to end about here, making sure they're level with each other. If you have a ruler at home and want to use a ruler to draw some of these lines, that could be helpful. Just make sure you're drawing them light. And so I'm going with my tear duct here, and then I'm going to bring that up, kind of fit in that like almond or football shape. And then I'm bringing this part down and up. And so I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, that's pretty decent, but I can see that my eyes, this one's a little bit longer. And so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go in and just shorten this one a little bit. And I'm looking, and I'm like, all right, those are looking somewhat even. So now I can feel like I can go in and enter kind of where my eyelids are. Again, looking back at my photo, referencing that. I can mark out where the irises go, the circles. Looking back at my photograph while I'm drawing these. I can mark out the light spots in my pupils. Again, always referencing back to that photo. And then I can draw in the pupils. Sweet. So, got some eyeballs drawn. I'm going to go back to those, but I want to start with the nose just in case I have to adjust some things. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in, I'm going to draw that bottom part of the nose. And so kind of like we talked about when we were making the nose, we're doing that U shape and then bringing it kind of down. Remember those flying birds we talked about? Yeah, for those nostril shapes. And then I'm going to create my nostrils here and here. And just kind of mark the bridge of the nose we talked about earlier. Yeah. And remember, I'm going to go in and kind of adjust some of the stuff here. Quickly. I might go in and change some stuff, but I'm going to leave that for now so that we can get our mouth mapped out. So we've got our eyes, our nose, our eyebrows, face shape. Let's go to the mouth. And so kind of go in here. I'm going to start with the upper lip this time, just so I can make sure it's the distance I want it to be from the nose. And so I can see that the corner is kind of off to here. And so I'm going to bring that down, connecting to that corner. I'll probably go in and adjust that a little bit, but same again over here. I'm kind of looking to see where it can match up, and like so. Now let's get that middle part here. Both those sides, yep, kind of like that. And I can see that I want this line to actually move down a little bit because her bottom looks a little bit fuller, which means I'm probably going to bring the chin down just a little bit. And so I brought this line down, and then I'm bringing this up here. And I don't always connect the bottom lip totally to that point because sometimes the top lip spreads out here. Okay, so we're getting kind of a face shape here, but I'm not feeling like it's totally Beyonce yet. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my eraser and erase the circle and some of these guiding lines that we had so I can see my drawing just a little bit better and it doesn't look like a weird, like mapped out head. I don't know. It just kind of helps me see. And I'm not going to do it perfectly, but I'll do some of it. Okay, so like I said with the mouth, since I had to move that bottom lip down, I'm going to just adjust the chin a little bit and bring that down too. And so I'm erasing that. I'm bringing this chin, and then I'm going to actually bring out her jawline just a little bit more. Looking at that face, and I can see that this part kind of goes up a little bit here. And so I'm checking, I'm like, okay, that looks a little bit better on that side there. And now I'm going to go into the other side. And so I'm looking, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I'm liking the way that looks. And I'm bringing this part up. So you can see that I want this side here to go in just a little bit more. And so again, sometimes I'll go in and erase and see what I've got going on. I can see, I want it to go out a little bit. And so just extending that a little bit more and going in and erasing that. Okay. We might adjust that some more, but let's at least map out where our hair goes so that we can, you know, kind of see not just a head here. And so I'm going to move this line up just a little bit because I think, you know, Beyonce's got her hair all slicked back in this photo, and I want to make sure I give her forehead some justice here. And so I'm going to kind of go in, and I'm going to bring this down here to kind of create where her hairline is. And same again, like so. And so right now, we've got a short haircut, but don't worry, we'll get to just mapping out that hair. Two things we haven't done is the neck and the ears. And so I'm looking at the face and I'm like, okay, her neck kind of starts here. And on this side kind of starts here. Sweet. And then I'm going to go up to these ears. And so I like to see where the ears line up with parts on the face. And so the top of the ears are above the eyebrows, and the bottom of the ears are kind of where the nostrils end. And so I'm going to just briefly mark those out on my paper so that I know that I'm drawing them at the correct places. Sweet. So now I'm going to kind of go in and look at the different shapes of the ear. Sometimes ears remind me of question marks. It just depends on the different angles that they're at. And this kind of flops out a little bit to the side too much. And so I'm going to bring it in. And so again, drawing lines lightly so that we can correct mistakes. And her hair kind of goes in like this. And so I'm drawing that. And then we might draw just a few of those like distinctive ear shapes. So maybe some of the folds, some of these parts that go out, and just kind of mapping those out so I know what's going on. And then I'm going to go to the other side here, and I'm looking, I don't see as much of this ear, and so I want to make sure that I show that. So I'm not seeing nearly as much of this ear as I did with the other one, and just drawing some of those distinctive parts. I don't usually, when I'm doing a line drawing with the ear, I don't worry about having every single line. And so, all right, let's get some of that hair. And so I'm going to pull this down. And her hair, I can't see the top of it here, but I've got a decent imagination. I'm going to say, since it's pulled back, it's going to go just a little bit farther up. And then I'm looking and I see that it goes out past the ears. And so I'm going to draw just some lines there. And she's got it kind of just flicked back and straight. And so I'm just making sure with that this kind of goes a little bit past the ear and it kind of drops off. Oh yes, that's nice. So I'm bringing it down here. And so I'm kind of like referencing, and the one thing that I'm looking at that I'm like, is my nose I don't really like, and mainly it's because I brought the side in just a little too much. And so I'm leaving that part. There we go. I think I like that part a little bit more now. And then the lips, I just want to make a slight adjustment here so that it looks like she does. She does have like just like almost a slight smile in this. I don't want her to look too angry. And so let's kind of take a look here. So definitely looking a little Beyonce-like. I would adjust this part to go just a little bit more out to the side and rounded. I think I made her face a little bit too thin there. And that's why my jawline's light. So I'm seeing that. I'm like, okay, that definitely looks a little bit more like Beyonce. I want to make sure that I get that hairline kind of going down. Because all these little parts that we're looking at, where you place the eyes, and the nose, and all of that, plays into how accurate our portraits look. And so don't feel like you need to master all the different areas of this. We're just practicing placing these different facial features. And we'll be working on this some more. And so I'm looking here and I'm like, okay, eyebrow, sweet, sweet. Eyelashes might help a little bit. Feel free to add some, maybe not too much. Eyelashes help just kind of the eyes like come to life. And then maybe I'll add these lines down here and just a few bottom eyelashes, drawing those really light. So sweet. That looks pretty good. And so I'm just gonna mark that there. Maybe you want to darken some of your lines like we did when we went over the eyes and the nose so that they just like pop a little bit more. So yeah, that's shaping together to look pretty similar to Beyonce. So this is what we've got for kind of working on drawing our faces and our shapes within the faces, our eyes, nose, ears, and mouth. Again, you don't have to draw the person I'm drawing. You can draw who you'd like, or if you just want to follow along with me, that's totally welcome here. Awesome. Bye.